This week, hope.
You should have seen the people's smiles when they came out of that war. They were so happy. It's like, really government is here now. Our names are on the database.
Skepticism.
They are saying, yes, we're going to address your issues. And all we want is for them to commit to say when.
And anger following an explosion of protests in May.
This
is Checkpoint, and I'm eNCA Mabuse. The month of May saw a record number of community protests across South Africa, the highest and most violent since 2004, when experts started gathering data. According to Municipal IQ, 2017's numbers will most probably be the highest yet in 13 years. They've become somewhat of a nuisance, an inconvenience for motorists trying to get to work or get on with their lives. No media house has the capacity to cover all protests comprehensively all the time, so they're often neatly packaged in daily traffic reports.
The traffic at the moment is still very slow around the Ennerdale area where we got the protest action. Lawley affected as well. Many roads closed. They include the R558 and the Golden Highway. Keeping a very close eye on that Durban Deep protest action on Randfontein Road, affecting traffic on Coolett Avenue and Nick Toomey Boulevard.
Unless, of course, they turn very violent.
I think service delivery protests, they're fairly frightening for many involved.
Karen Hees has been tracking them since 2004.
From a policy perspective, they're hard to get a grip on. From a policing perspective, they can escalate and become very dangerous. For communities, they can have long-lasting detrimental effects, hollowing out local businesses, making areas no-go zones. Ultimately, though, we do have to understand that they're an expression of democratic protest and the right to object.
This right to object was taken to new heights in May when municipality monitors like Karen Hees noticed numbers and violence peak to the highest recorded in 13 years. Protesters in South Africa will tell you straight, violence is the only language government responds to, and causing disruption a critical tool in getting their issues on the national agenda. According to the Institute for Security Studies, which has its own protest and public violence monitoring tool, there were 103 non-labor community protests in May alone. That's nearly the total number of protests that took place in all of 2009. 2017 is already the most protest-active year on record. Last August's watershed election, which saw the ANC lose power in major metros, seems to have done little to renew hope in communities fed up with non-delivery.
Possibly the election dividend has now been spent. Communities are tired of waiting. But I think the issue of the recession really comes through too. We saw a lot of protesters expressing the need for job creation, for employment. So I think they very much spoke to a crunch time within a lot of South African communities, feeling the pressure of the recession and economic downturn.
The May flames of discontent started billowing in Kliptown, Soweto's oldest township. Roads and rail lines were blocked and police called to the scene. Initial reports suggested that residents were protesting over an RDP project that had been halted. No further information was given at the time. Next followed Ennerdale, Eldorado Park, Finetown and Deep Kloof. The main issue here was housing. During the second week of May, protest activity shifted to Itireleng informal settlement west of the capital Pretoria, where the blocking of the busy R55, which links Johannesburg and Pretoria, ensured protesters got the attention of the authorities. Here, residents complained that they had been waiting for electricity, water, housing and sanitation since 2008. The people of Bopang near Marikana in the northwest demanded jobs. In Polokwane, parents marched to the Provincial Education Department to demand more classrooms. Durban, East London, Maritzburg, Cape Town, Bloemfontein and Standerton in Mpumalanga were not spared. Towards the end of the month, it was residents of Pimville, Dobsonville and Diepkloof who took to the streets demanding houses. Protests in the south of Johannesburg were sustained for several days and were among the most chaotic seen in May.
You know what? Our councillors is scared to talk in the council meetings. Yeah. There was IDP on the 22nd, on the 3rd. What did they do? God. The councillors have to account because they've got a mandate to their community.
We want the young. And the Scots, they must survive because now they are hurting us.
Can I indicate the process?
Senior officials, including the Minister of Human Settlements, were forced to descend on the region and assure residents they were being heard.
So please don't make us to go back there. We were there. Let's start and test it. We will go back because it seems like you're not taking us serious.
After the break, a history of protests and broken promises in Kliptown.
Ugovernment ethi uzorenovate indlu kaMaxeke yona yodwa kuthethwe kuthiwani ngabanye abantu apha.